Alright guys, this is the series of mounting these seats. I don't know how many videos are going to be a few though, but anyway, I ran into an issue with the seats I bought, which plans didn't go as I was hoping they would. So what I was hoping to do, let's walk around and look. I was hoping to put in a removable seat that has the locks on it where you take it out and clean them easier. Well, the seat's too high, and so it's not going to work. Either way, whatever you try to do, it lets you cut holes in the floorboard and sink it. We're not doing that. So what we did, which made it a whole lot better, was remove the bracket. After the bracket was removed, let's see where we're at. That console's got to be integrated in there. After the bracket was moved, it brought the seat way down. So now we're going to get some tubing and put in here, run down the bottom. Cut this off flush with this. So we'll have two bolt holes here, one bolt hole up here holding the tube on. Anchor the tube to the floorboard. That's the route we're going to go. Backdrop looking good though. Got it in, all the speakers. So that's where we're at, and go from there. But on the console side, it's gonna take a little work. I mean, everything is. So the touchscreen Alpine will go in that hole. It'll be all formed in there, looking good. And it does have rear AC, which you don't need in this cab. But I can, just in case somebody says, well, is AC working in the back? I can restrict a little bit of air to it, just so I can say it does. You know? Because it's going to steal air from that vent there. It'll steal air from, and your upper vent, it's going to steal some air. Well, no, your upper one I don't think it'll fake. Just that lower one. Because the tube runs straight across the bottom. So I think just that lower one. So if I just barely restrict, put a little bitty flap in there, about 1 inch, maybe. Just so I can say, yeah, it does. But anyway, we're going to see what we can get done today. If I do any modifications or any building or anything special, I'll throw a video up. Other than that, we're going to get at it. And like I say, I'll video some if it seems like. So, fitting the console, just looking at it, see how it's going to work. It's on its stand right now. So when I take the stand out of it, it'll drop about 2.5 to 3 inches on the back. There's this big old bracket underneath them when you get them. It's in your SUV now, our truck. There's a big old 4-legged bracket in the back. It's about 2.5 to 3 inch rise on it. And then we'll drop it down, slide it forward a little bit. It's going to take some work to integrate this in here, a lot. But I gotta get all the wiring harnesses out of it, you know. And then we'll move the tank switch. It'll be beside the radio. So we'll put the tank switch by the radio. Do that with it. Is that rear AC I was talking about? But we're just fitting everything. So I'm gonna try to be done with this by the end of August. It's gonna take a little bit of work. Let's look at the other side of it. So it's gonna take a little bit of plastic work. I got the other seat lowered. Took the other bracket off of it. Then we'll get everything mounted. take everything out of the truck, and then we'll start doing our thing to it, you know. I gotta drill that out. Tell you what, I did everything I could, and the rest of them were tough. They came out all right. That and I gotta drill out. But that ain't no thing, you know. Shoot, it's what we do for a living. Work the other side again. It's got rear AC controls on it. I'll remove those, put a flat piece on it. Somebody out there is probably looking for them. Radio controls, I'm sorry. Somebody out there probably looking for some. If you are, contact me. And if anybody out there needs, wants these, I got all the trim for them. The locking piece that goes in the floorboard, I got it all. If you want to mount a seat on something, in a boat or whatever, you remove, don't matter. Crane, where are you going to put it in? Like I said, I got the floorboard locks, all the hardware to mount it, all the plastic pieces, everything. If somebody's looking for some. It's come out of a 4Runner, I think is what he told me. I'm not 100% on it, but both of them are here. And I've got them all complete. And they work well. I wasn't going to put them in there if there wasn't. What we're doing today, I got the mic on, but I don't know if it's working or not. I don't have a clue. I'm trying a new mic out. If it works, it works. If not, I'm gonna try to talk loud enough for you to hear me. But on these panels, let me show you right here. I don't have a cameraman, so I'm going to walk over here and show it to you. They got a little rough texture to them, and I need it to be smooth like the back side. It don't have to be this perfect, this smooth. It's got to be smoother than what it is here. So I'm gonna sand one of them down. Let's see what we do. Roby's not a sponsor of mine. I got a decent deal on some items, and I've tested them out. Really liked it. Matter of fact, the impact is what broke one of the bolts off with the seat belt in there, and I tried to take it out easy, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But for 30-something years, it stuck in the floorboard. And of course the grinder, I went with electric power sander. I just wanted the same speed that I want, you know, the whole time. I don't want it to get slow on me or having to stop. And I hadn't really tested their batteries out that well to see if it does hold up. But anyway, we're gonna start out with a 60 on it. And what's nice about these, they just Velcro on, okay? You got a vacuum, catch some of the dust, which out here it doesn't matter. Then we're gonna go back on top of it with the 800, and that ought to smoothen it up enough where my laminate will stick to it, okay? Let's give this a try, see what happens. See, I got some spray right here. I'm just gonna dust it off the towel. You probably can't tell it, but it's a whole lot smoother than what it was. So we'll cut it on down a little more. Get the panel all cut and go from there. You probably can't tell by video, but you can see the difference in the two. This came out a whole lot smoother. It's got it down where I want it. You can feel the rough texture on this one. This is smooth enough that it's going to stick. You know, they're not very thick to begin with. They're probably 35, 40 thousandths, maybe a little thicker than that, not much. And then, of course, we got your cup holder to do, your back console to do, and don't forget, take your vents out now before you do it. You know, you can remove your cup holder here if you want while you do it. Get all sanded down. We'll be back as soon as I get her all done. We'll go to the next step. All right, we got them all sanded down like I want them. So you're gonna have 3, 4, 5, there's 6 pieces. You're gonna take off the old 5 console out of the SUV, Suburban. I think the tie hole may be a little different, but this is out of the old 5 Suburban, okay? There's 6 pieces. Now you ask about the lid. The lid it'll be painted like a color that'll match the wood. It'll be a solid color. It won't be wrapped. That's what it is to it to get this far. And I'm gonna put a link below this one. And there's a guy you go to. He's gonna teach you how to wrap. I'm not a pro at it, and I may show you something different that don't even make sense. I want you to go to his place. Guy's named Christian over there at CK Wraps. You can look him up on YouTube. I've learned a lot from him. Watched hours of his videos. Whatever you want to wrap, I mean, he'll show you. He's got a website you can go to and go through the little training that he does, and you can do your own wraps however you want to do them. He shows you every kind of different type of wrap. What wrap to look for, which one to buy. Know if you got the cheap one, know if you got the wrong. You know, what backing to look for on them, what stretch, what don't stretch. I mean, it's hours and hours of his videos. But I highly recommend you going over there and letting him teach you how to wrap, and that way you can get your stuff wrapped up and make it look good. But I'm gonna do these right here, and we'll move on to the next step, which will be when we get back in the cab. We'll get back in there. We're gonna take some ABS board and come off of here with it, and where your truck is, we're gonna weld our board here. We got a plastic welder. We'll weld the board here. And of course, we'll fill in our gap when we get done, sand it down, and your wrap's gonna cover it, so no big deal. But anyway, it'll be formed to the truck and work out good. It's gonna look good when we get done with it. Just watch it step by step, and let's see how it turns out. Okay? But anyway, I'll get them covered up, and we'll go from there on the next step and what we gotta do next with the console. Come back at y'all. This is going to conclude part 2 of the dash, not the dash, the console, and the material we're using and what all. You can see where we're at. And we finally got our brackets in for the seats and the console, and we got our sound system in. What we're going to be going with, let me bring it closer to you. I know I'm pretty good ways away. This is the newest touchscreen Pioneer's got. It's the DMH 220EX. It does a lot. It does everything I'm gonna want to do in the truck. Okay. It's gonna be powered by the GM D8 704, the Pioneer amp. I'm gonna show you how this stuff's gonna be mounted right on this table, so you'll understand where all this is going. And then your hookup, of course, is the Boss audio system. It's the KIT2 kit. one, I think it's a cat tube. But this will make what I want in the truck. You know, it's not going to be something that, I mean, it could be where you can blow yourself out of the truck. I'm after the sound. If you would put earphones on and have that close sound, is what we're after. We do have our little woofers. They go back there. There's going to be one behind each seat. They're, I think 5-inch, 6-inch woofers. They're, I got the specs on them here. And they come out of a home unit, and it will work. I've done it before. And they got their own, you're going to take your amplifier, send a signal back to your speaker mounter, and they've got their own circuit board and up on it. But let's look at this and see how it's going to go. Excuse the mess behind me. We just moved this in yesterday. Got everything cleaned up where I could do a little bit in here in case it rains or whatever. The truck's out right out here. I can always be inside. It's a small area. I can open the door, blow some cold air in here if I want. No big thing. But this way I can keep on going and don't have to worry about the weather because we're not in the shop. So I got a lot of organizing to do. I did get my charging system set up. Everything will be charging. So the Milwaukee will be set up for really supplying parts as we get them in, so we won't lose them or whatever. And of course my old boxes here, it's got some little hand tools in them, you know, just enough to do what I need to do. They got a good bit, you know. But we piled stuff up on stuff yesterday. We got a pretty good mess in here. I got boxes still got to go through. That stuff that we're going to be using, and go from there. But anyway, let me show you the amplifier and how it's going to be mounted, where we're going to put it at. First things first, we're going to cut these legs off here because it's too high. If you look at the video, you can see it's like 3 inches too high. So we've got to cut it down. I want to keep the meat and supports here. I was going to cut it all the way across as low as I can get it. But with the bracket I got, when I put it up underneath it, when I mount it under it, it almost comes to the height of my cut. So really this would have been a waste of cut because the bracket's going to be almost flush with this when it's on the floor. And this will drop it right 2.5, 3 inches down where we want it at. It's going to be real close to the armrest level. Okay. But anyway, let's get the amp out and look at it. It comes with some wiring, you know. Some things you might need, you may not need them. Depends on what hookup you got here. Okay. These amps are 4, 3, or 2 channel. They're real good amps. I used one back in the day that was kind of close to this. It's not quite the same amp, but actually I had 2 of them. They was underneath the dash, mounted in it. Because you got your Get Smart book there if you have a little trouble hooking them up, all right? So let's get on into this thing. See what we got here. Now the Bose amp, the SUV, if your amp goes out in your SUV, like the 05 Suburban or what have you, some consoles you could take out the bucket itself and you've got screws there where you can get directly right down in there to it. This one, you're going to have to take the console out, completely disassemble it to get to that Bose amp. It's you can see the pictures there, or the video of it all destroyed. And I had to get that far, you know, just to get where I can cut these feet off, get the amp out, get all the wiring harnesses out of it. But the amp will mount, there's a amp mount in there as well. It's just the right size. So, and this has got AC coming in it. So on my AC, we're going to have the rear air hooked up. What we'll do is the cross piece that comes across, you can build it, or there are adapters that are available to tee into that vent. That vent serves, it blows out the small on your left side on your square body, okay? Right there by your light switches and what all is where that vent comes out at. That air comes across the two vents there. And what we'll do is we'll take and put another piece in it that will blow cold air inside the console to keep it cool. If needed. It may not need it. If needed, it'll be there. But anyway, so the amp will mount here. Of course, the console and everything will come down on top of it. Okay? That's where it'll be located. Not much to it. You know, a little bit of work. It'll go. All right? So that's where your amp's going to be at. You can put it there. Another spot you can put it, the console's real long. You can mount it up underneath where it goes up to the truck. You can mount it there on the carpet if you want. My thing is this, I'm not going to do any cutting on that carpet. So if you ever want to go back to original stuff in the truck, you won't see how this is mounted because the strips will be underneath it here. You can put your other console right down on top of it. Won't ever tell it was in there. Seats the same way. The brackets are going to be up underneath where the bench seat came all the way out to the front and bolted down. The bench seat's going to, the brackets I got for the buckets are going to be back underneath the seat with two little bitty holes for the bolts to come through on each side. Okay? That way there's nothing cut up, because inside the cab of the truck, there's no chopping, no cutting, no drilling. I'm not doing anything to interrupt any of the cab area where you can see it. You know, you get in, somebody took a hacksaw hold of it. Don't like that. We don't want that. Everything's going to be mounted where, if you want to go back original, you can, and nothing will be seen where you had this mounted. Okay? Of course, when everything is in the truck, mounted up, I usually go find the weirdest connectors I can find. There's no telling what they came off of. So you can unplug it. If you take the console out, you'll be able to unplug it here and unplug it back on the back side going to your rear speakers and amps and all. Okay? I mean your speakers, your rear ones, left and right side. You'll be able to unplug it and take it out without ripping everything out of there. Everything's going to have plugs on it. I try to find the weirdest plugs I can find, male and female, just to do that. So if somebody says, oh, that plug went bad, man, where are we going to find that at? I don't know, if I find Bubba, see where he got that from, or you just going to cut it off, put your new plug in there, you know, or wire it direct, however you want to do it. Anyway, let's move on to the radio, how it's going to be mounted. This is the newest touchscreen Alpine. I like it, and I've seen all good reviews on it. And of course, back in the day, we didn't have touchscreen when we was putting these in. But when you get it, it'll have all your mounting stuff as well, your plugs, the USB connector. Now it'll go in the back, it'll come out to the front. And you can buy a USB connector, looks like a cigarette lighter, and put it in there instead of having a dangly wire hanging there, okay? But you're going to have some reading material, stuff to try to figure it out if you need to figure it out. But this is I like the unit, it's a good unit. You go on, I'll tell you what, I'll put a link in there of the really the guy don't really talk much about it, but there is a YouTube video on it that talks a lot about what it does, what it operates, what you can do with it. Okay. And on our truck, on the console, you're gonna have your cup holder here. Okay, this will come in. Of course, it'll be all wrapped in that that dark mahogany wood. It'll all be wrapped. Then you're going to take your ABS board, of course, and mount it up into the cab where you can see it. Okay, it's like a 6x4 screen, kind of. I think it is. I have to look at it and see to make sure. But you'll integrate this with the ABS board and all, and set it in the truck, so you'll have it. You know what I mean? And of course, we got that tank switch. If you remember in that video, we got to remove the tank switch. We'll have room to put the tank switch here on the side. Okay. I don't think we're going to be able to put the tank switch in with the radio here. So it's going to be put here on the side, your left and right side tank switch, if your truck's got one. That's where it'll end up being at, probably. So it'll mount up, look all right with the right stuff, you know, doing it right. You got to do it right. It takes time to do this. But it's got all your plugs, everything you need on the back. Not a bad hookup. It's pretty simple. You know, it's not too bad at all. Mounting it and making it look good, that's where you're going to do a little work at. It can be done. You can do it. You know. Of course, this, I'm not going to open this, but it's got, I guess I could. I could probably put another box, you know, because I know I won't get everything back in this box. And I'm not ready for it, but I will. That way you'll see what you got here. I'll just find another box for it. I don't think I'm going to get this back in here like they did it. There ain't no way. You know how that goes. You might. You're going to have your speaker wire here. Your power wire. Speakers. This is a your fuse. Let me show you this weird fuse here. If you burn it up, you ain't going to find one nowhere. Well, they might have a replacement. This is a little fuse. Right here. You might be able to find one, you know what I mean? And of course, I don't know why they sent this. I've probably got, if any guys want some of this 1/4 inch size loom, I think I've got 600 miles of it, I think, left. I've got it by boxes and boxes and boxes. I used to install locators in trucks, and they all sent like a 10, 12 foot piece. I don't throw nothing away. That's where I got all my solder butt connectors at. Most of my shrink wrap. They was throwing all this stuff away in packages, and I was digging it out. You know what I mean? So I could use it. But it comes with everything pretty much you need. These will be changed over to the solder, little plugs, your connectors and all. So we won't use these. We'll end up using the solder tight. Okay. But anyway, I wanted to put this on this part 2, and it concludes part 2. And now we're going to continue on with the console itself mounting, and we'll do video on it. You get it all mounted, all plumb, you know, mounted in there. Then we got to take it back apart. Disassembly, what we do, reassemble on it. We want to reassemble the whole thing as part of it. Disassemble the whole thing, and then wrap it, get it done right, get it in there. You know, of course, it'll all be mounted, and I won't be able to mount the console down, you know, permanently until I get the new carpet in there, which we got the carpet you seen in the last video. Because you got to take the console, some of it apart, to mount some of it in there. So it's a crazy deal, you know. Especially when I got these feet going. It's got to be built in the truck just about. But anyway, that's where we're at. And on that radio, it does have, it's a DVD player. So I went down and got this. What's the part number of this thing here? It says, I don't have a part number on it. It does have a model PO BYP. Let's see if y'all can see this. What this does is it wires to the radio so you can travel, playing a DVD or whatever. You know, you don't have to have the part break on. This bypasses all the safety on it. I don't recommend using them, but it's going to be in there in case somebody wants it. It can be hooked to a switch where if the truck is rolling, the power brake off, where it will kill the DVD player, we can have a switch in there. If somebody wanted it. This may be switched. I don't know yet. We're gonna see just in case something comes up with some kind of safety deal or whatever, or whatever. Well, I don't think anybody's gonna be messing with it. But anyway, this concludes part 2. Starting tomorrow, we should get on part 3, and let's get this cab rolling. We're gonna try to have it done by the end of August. It's gonna be tough because there's some weekends here that I'm coming across. I'm not gonna be able to work on it. So I'm gonna get done what I can. The completion is gonna be sometime in 2023, it looks like. So it'll be all next year probably. I hope it's done quicker than that. I hope it is, but we got engine to build, cab, bed. We got a lot to go, long ways to go. If you want to follow us, follow me. If you don't want to follow the build, that's up to you, But I think you're gonna. You might learn something from it. You may like, what is he doing that for? May not like it at all. Do it your way. However you want to do it, you do it your way. So, but one more thing, back to these boxes. So, our little job is over there coming to an end. And if I don't go anywhere else right now, or I think I've got September, I think. If I don't find a place to go or stay there with the people who are taking over the building, which I'd love to do that, I'd just stay there at the building. Then when the company calls and says, hey, we need y'all to come on back to work, I can just leave from there and go to the new building wherever they're at, if they want me. If they may not want the old man, I don't know. But back to it, I'll have to move these 2 boxes on the other side over there. The 84 by 32 or 30 is going to go on this side. Because the way this is set up now, where these 2 are, and yes, this is an old Snap-on box from the 80s. It's still kicking. So the way it measures out is, with these 2 boxes in here, it's still another foot. I'm a foot short the length of the box up there. Okay, so these 2 will probably go on the other side, and the 84, I think it's 60 tall. So it just will come through the garage door here, to be on this wall. I hope I don't have to do that, but if we do, it is what it is. But thanks y'all for watching, and let's get this part 3 started. Thank y'all.